Let me tell you what I saw the other day. I saw this story. I'm like, oh, Tyler, check this out to see if this story is true or not. So this kid, 17-year-old kid, I don't know if you heard about this or not. The 17-year-old kid
this story
is suing his parents for being born white. Did you hear about this?
I didn't hear about this.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
I don't know how old this story is, though.
But still, like, but here's
the concept of it is ridiculous.
But here's the point. This is becoming more and more. I saw another one on this. 17-year-old teenager sues his parents for being born white. Anthony Dwight, 17, claims he has suffered his whole life from the shame of being born white. When I was a kid, I'd spend hours in the shower trying to wash off my white skin, but it would never go away. Isn't there enough white people on this planet? Haven't we inflicted enough suffering, racism, and depression in this world? The young man's lawyer, Robert Huffman, claims his client has suffered severe psychological distress, symptoms of depression, and suicidal tendencies because of what he calls the burden of being white privilege. Because of the level of psychological distress on my client, we ask that his parents pay for all the necessary expenses to change his racial status, including skin coloring treatments. How the hell?
Okay, first off, that lawyer needs to be disbarred immediately. The lawyer that picks up yes, I'm going to sue your parents for your skin color. That lawyer needs to be mocked into oblivion, putting aside the rest of this ridiculous story, obviously. But you see what they did? Congratulations. Yeah. You made some 17-year-old kid. He was just a kid. Congratulations. He hates himself
this
now.
Is
you guys
sad
did it.
Any way you cut it. Whether if this was a black kid, an Asian kid, a white kid, Native American kid, a Jewish kid.
Yeah.
Like, it's just sad any way you cut it.
But the question becomes the following. How did this kid come to that conclusion? Okay. Who reaffirmed something to him over, and it's definitely not his parents, who reaffirmed and caused that hate to him?
The entire machine.
So
right. White bad, you bad.
Okay,
white bad, you bad.
But let's
and all of a sudden the kid takes
speculate. Let's actually speculate. Do you think this 17-year-old kid is watching MSNBC or CNN or Fox?
No.
Okay. So do you think this would have been from one of his classmates that said it? Do you think this could have been from one of the teachers or people?
Absolutely.
Okay.
What city was this in?
This
St. Louis, I think.
So, but the point is, somebody put that thought in this kid's head. Period. Somebody put that thought in this kid's head, and he has to kind of live up by that. My biggest concern with what's going on with kids, I said this the other day, is I'm not worried about me. I'm going to be able to afford to do homeschooling or hire the best teachers to teach my kids in my house. And hey, just come down. We'll hire 3-4 teachers. Every day, you guys just come and rotate. We'll pay you $100 an hour. Come and do it. But forget about me. I busted the last 20 years to be in this situation. So if things got really ridiculous, I can at least be able to influence my kids properly by hiring the right teachers. How about the other 98% of America, 95% of America that can't afford to send their kids to private school, that they have to leverage and just lean on public schools, that they can't change zoning? They don't have a choice. Well, they have to go through. The only choice they have is either doing homeschooling or try to control as much as possible, which, by the way, what was crazy, who was it we had on that said the need for church has increased? Oh, yesterday I got this random call. Did I tell you about that? Yeah, I told you about this random call I got yesterday. I'm at the baseball field with Dylan. I get this call from Illinois. I'm like, who is this? And you know my phone's not saved the number, so I pick it up.
Is this the one I saw you at the guard gate?
No. That's a prank I was pulling on you. That's a different one. We pulled a very good prank on him, and it has to do with you, by the way. It has to do with you. I'll tell that story in a minute. But this guy calls me, so I call back. Is this Patrick? Who's calling?
Oh, the one word.
Yeah. Is this Patrick? I'm sorry. Who's calling? It is Patrick. Okay, Patrick. I said, who's calling? I can't tell you my name because I don't want you to ever talk about this on your podcast. But I watch all your stuff. So the reason why I'm calling you is because the interview I watched with Jack Barsky. And I'm like, Jack Barsky, KGB? Yes. And he says, what is the difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament? I said, what's the context behind this question? He says, what is the difference between the Old Testament? It's one word. What is the difference between Old Testament and New Testament? I'm like, Old Testament, you believe in that? Jewish, New Testament, Christian. No, it's one word. I said, are you saying Jesus? Bingo, it's Jesus. I said, what does KGB Jack Barsky have to do with Jesus? So he goes for 15 minutes. I'm sitting there, I'm like, I can't even believe I'm entertaining this conversation. How'd you get my phone? The whole premise of his call to say that America needs God today. That was his whole premise. And by the way, we hung up. We had a great conversation. He said, I love you. I'll follow up. Just don't give my name. Don't give mine. I'm like, I'm not going to give you your number on a live podcast. He says, I'm still not going to give you my name. I said, I'm totally fine. All
Had
the best.
Joel Osteen ever called you before?
65-year-old man, by the way. 65-year-old man. 65-year-old man says, I don't want to have because I don't want to get persecution. I said, aren't you just as guilty to be embarrassed to talk about God as you are judging others who are doing this? I'm sorry, you are just as guilty because if you're so proud of the belief on what's God done for you, why don't you be publicly talking about it? Why are you being a closet Christian? Come out and talk about it. So, well, that's a fair assessment, but nowadays in my job, I can be persecuted, I can lose my job. Bingo. So look at the fears
you feed it.
People have, right? Look at what's going on. But again, I said this 2 podcasts ago. I'm saying it again today. If you're raising a kid today, everything becomes an insurance policy, okay? It's almost like, okay, I'm going to lean on sports to get my kids as a positive distraction because a good positive distraction is going to get them away from the other stuff. A good private school, good friends, good uncles to have around. I need to kind of rely on a local church that I trust to have the right values and principles. All you're looking at is putting that right defense around you and the right values to be taught. And I actually, in a weird way, this is going to sound crazy. Talking about religion is not something we talk about on our podcast. I think in the craziest way, I think the next 10 to 20 years, churches are going to blow up. Yes. I don't know why. I think church is going to blow up the next 10 to 20 years.
Oh, I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
First, I just want to say the craziest part of that story that you just told is that you pick up numbers that you don't recognize is the most insane. If I get a call, my phone number has been leaked so many times and I've changed my phone for that. If I get a call that I don't recognize, I will literally just throw my phone in the river. And what are you doing?
We've said a lot of facts today. Nothing is truer than what you just said. If I don't recognize the number, 0% chance I'm picking up.
That genuinely.
Hello? Yes. Is this Patrick? How could I help? What?
That is the most crazy thing I have ever heard. I can only imagine how busy you are.
I'm going to make it crazier. I've not changed my number in 20 years. I'm telling you, it's been my number for 20 years.
If someone just comes knocking on your door, they just knock, come on in, come on. You seem like a nice guy.
I'd like to talk to you about God. Come on in, Patrick.
In the craziest way, and this is going to sound crazy, I so love a good debate and a good discourse.
Wow, you're living your best life, man.
I'm living my best life. Yeah, living my best life. I enjoy a good.
If someone's phone number you recognize,
first of all, don't recognize the number. Watch me get 50 calls today from I'm not picking up today's calls.
It shows you how we're all wired differently because we do a very similar thing for a living, right? So I run businesses outside, but I talk for a living. So we do basically the same thing. So I wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm basically talking till the whatever time that shuts down. So it could be 8 p.m. I've talked all day. When I'm done, I almost to the point that I cannot speak. I turn on Seinfeld and I'm like, that's it. Don't talk to me. But what you just said there is you love it so much.
I just do.
And I don't think it's that you love it more than me. It's that we're wired probably a little bit differently. That if I got a call from an anonymous number at 8 o'clock, that would be the devil to me. And you're like, yes, let's continue the conversation.
I can't wait to talk to this random person.
I mean, that is
Illinois.
absolutely.
But by the way, I'll give you one thing that it's even funnier than this. So when I get random texts from people and I don't recognize the number, here's what I'll do. Did you see what I did the other day with the guy?
Let me guess, you call them.
No. Let me tell you what I do with them because them I have fun with. So a guy texts me, he says, hey, are we going to be able to see you later on today? And I texted this guy back, no joke, you should see this. I should show this guy's number and put it on the screen. I respond back, I said, did Kamala tell you I won't be making it? So the guy's like, excuse me? I said, yeah, just tell Kamala I can't make it because Joe will be upset. But Kamala knows what I'm going through right now. And then he responds back saying, I'm just a valuetainer, man. Are you really talking to Kamala Harris? And I just leave the text alone. I don't respond back. I wonder what this guy's probably thinking about saying, Pat's talking to Kamala Harris, they're going to a party. But anyways, going back to the point you were going to make.
I think you're completely right.
I think churches are going to blow up
I'm partly making this argument in my book that because the woke thing is so out of control and because 2 + 2 is 5 and boys are girls and if you're not racist, you are racist, because everything is so backwards, when everything's backwards, people need something to fall back on. And I can feel this. I can feel it. I thought I was an atheist 5 or 6 years ago. I'm not anymore. I'm a believer. I toured with Jordan Peterson. He moved me on probably the most important question of all, in essence. I think a lot of people are going to go that direction. It's a sad state in a way because liberalism in its truest form should be able to stand on its own, but the left has destroyed liberalism, changed things so that words have no meaning anymore, and then people will go to religion. I'm actually not saying that religion is bad. I'm not saying that at all, actually. I think at the end, societies somehow need an organizing principle, and I don't know that there is one better than belief at some level. But I completely agree with you.
And you're Jewish?
Yeah.
You go to temples? Where do you go? What do you do?
You know, it's funny. I've sort of come back towards it. Dennis Prager actually helped me a lot on this. He ran in L.A. He's not a rabbi technically, but he was running services and runs sort of like a misfit temple. And I started going, and Dennis has been a mentor and a friend and everything else. And he brought me back to a lot of that. But, you know, for Jews, I'm sure it's somewhat similar to you. It's become more of a culture and a way of thinking and a sense of humor. And holy shit, we survived. Right. Somehow 5,000 years of this lunacy, and there's still a couple of us left. So, but I am trying to figure out how that pieces into my life.
Well, regarding church, religion, ultimately what we're talking about, I think, is just a bigger sense of purpose and meaning in life. Ultimately, we're all just trying to figure out what the hell are we doing here? We're like, what is life? What is the meaning of life? And I mean, look at the stats. The most common religion now is non-believer.
Yeah.
Right? So God has been taken out of society, and I'm not religious at all, but I will say that I do, and this might just because of my upbringing and my mom, you could do whatever you want to do, and your affirmation, and like a typical Jewish mom. But for most people in America, they don't have necessarily a higher sense of purpose or meaning. And COVID has exacerbated that. You're stuck at home alone. You lost your job. You don't know what's going on. You're taking opioids. You're looking at everyone on TV and on social media. Everyone's doing amazing, and you're just stuck in this, shitty life. And if there's nothing to cling on to for religion, what do you have? And a lot of people will cling on to politics, especially even on the left these days. On
but
the right too.
That's why you have to give the woke credit, because they turned a political ideology into a cult. You cannot get out of that cult. It's why so many of them go so crazy. Why is Jon Stewart right now screaming about white people all the time? It's because he went into the woke thing. And then once you're in it, Jon Stewart knows he's a $100 million white guy, middle-aged white guy in essence, right? So he has to keep going. Otherwise, they'll turn on him too.
Wow. In a heartbeat.
It's a religion that you cannot leave.
And he's what you would call, and I learned this term literally from you, Dave Rubin, a classic liberal.
He should be truly. Yeah. I don't think he's in his true head. I don't think he's a crazy woke leftist. Right. But just, I don't know that anyone's watching.
But he's gone down that path.
Yeah, he's doing shows.
How has Bill Maher avoided that and stayed true to himself?
I mean, I do this on my show all the time. I'm so frustrated with Bill Maher.
Really?
I really am. Yeah, I'm supposed to be on his podcast.
Why are you frustrated with Bill Maher?
Because he's so freaking close. He's so damn close to getting it.
And then he just shoots himself in the foot.
Yes. So Bill Maher, he gets it on critical race theory now.
Yep.
He got it on COVID finally 2 years too late, but he got it. He gets it on the gender stuff. He gets it on free speech. He gets all the big ones. But until you're willing to say, I will not support and vote for people who have ushered this all in, then at some point you're no longer doing a service, right? It's one thing to wake. So you asked me before where we started was about waking people up and how do we move people? Well, Bill Maher, I guess at some level he's woken up some liberals, right? So that is good. And by the way, this is a guy who I've loved and admired for 20 years. But at the end, because of Trump derangement syndrome in his
Bingo,
case,
by the way.
Trump broke him to the point that you can't say I'm against critical race theory, I'm against all the gender stuff, and then it's like, all right, Bill, so when it came down to it, would you have voted for Glenn Youngkin or not? And if the answer is no, you would have voted for Terry McAuliffe, then you actually aren't at the end of the road yet. So he's getting people almost to the promised land, and right when they get to the promised land, they're right there, the border, he then takes them the other way. So last week, you probably saw it, he said on his show, he said that the Republicans would love if there were no black Supreme Court justices. There is a black Supreme Court justice, and he's a conservative. Did you know that, Bill? And everyone loves him. And I guarantee you, he's an Uncle Tom. And I guarantee you that every conservative in the country would love if there were 12 of him. Yeah. So at the end, you get there. And then all you got left is, but their race. I think his problem actually is that he's called so many religious people crazy for 20 years that it's very hard for him to put that together.
Well, there's a special called Religious List. It's not like he's going to start. But let me tell you exactly what's happening with him, because I'm living it.
Yeah,
bro.
I got it.
He's going down the road. He's going to the path. You said he gets to the pearly gates, and who's at the gate, bro? It's Trump. That's ultimately what's happening. Is you get to the gate. And you're like, hold on, everything was made so much sense. And Trump's at the gate. And this is why I think The Republicans will be shooting themselves in the foot, having Trump come back
Yeah.
versus a DeSantis. I think no matter who DeSantis runs against, landslide. If Trump runs, anyone's guess.
I think Tyler's got something to tell us. Go ahead, Tyler.
Well, you're just talking about the black Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Let's not forget that George Bush nominated Janice Rogers, the first black woman to the Supreme Court, and who shot it down?
Oh, there was a guy, I forget.
Ladies and
He's
gentlemen,
old
excuse me,
now. He's
he's
very
old.
confused. Yeah, what's that guy's name? Yeah.
Excuse me.
That guy.
We all live in the present, and we don't even open a history book. Who the hell is Thurgood Marshall, and who got him onto the court, and who didn't want him on the court? Nobody wants to go back and look at that. Nobody wants to go back and look at what was the real party of civil rights.
Why was the Republican Party founded?
Exactly. And people forget, it'd be the first time. Thurgood Marshall, I recall, was an amazing intellect. He was an amazing jurist. Not because he was black, because he was an amazing jurist. And you'll look at how he ended up on the court, and all we all look back, and we only want to put it in today's time because they need it.
Okay, so check this out.
We don't have education. We have agendication.
Hold on. Are you getting another call from an anonymous number?
By the way, seriously, somebody just texted me from a number I don't recognize saying, Patrick, great show. I said, tell Kamala I said hello.
By the way, here you go.
How the hell did you get my number? But anyway, so here
you
we
go.
go.
A highly educated white military president, Dwight David Eisenhower, sends 101st Airborne in to protect 9 people who had the right to go to the high school that was in their neighborhood and not be bused across town.
If you enjoyed this short clip, click over here to watch another short clip. And if you want to watch the entire episode, the entire podcast, click here.